If you want to utilize cold calling to make a lot of money in your real estate investing or wholesaling journey, it's actually simpler than you might think. It's simple, but it's not necessarily easy. Like, it's a lot of work, it's gonna take a lot of effort, a lot of volume, but it works. And in today's video, I'm just gonna kind of break down the things that work, how to do it, and like what's important if you're gonna be cold calling to find deals. Hope this helps. And also, if you're just new to the channel in general, my name's Justin Wrong, and I've helped hundreds of people make money in real estate. So first of all, what even is cold calling? I'm gonna briefly go over this. Cold calling, in the general sense, is to call a stranger, which is why it's a cold call, it's not warm. You're calling a stranger to try to sell a product or service. That's typically what cold calling is. Now, in this case of real estate investing or wholesaling, you're not exactly selling a product, but you're selling a service because you are offering to buy their house. That's your service, like you're a home buyer. You're getting someone's home sold, but you're not an agent, like you're trying to buy the house from them. So that's the service of when you're cold calling as a real estate investor or wholesaler. Now, what are the things that I guess are important when it comes to cold calling? In my opinion, there are three main things that you have to look at if you want to succeed with cold calling. And those three things are gonna be data, it's gonna be your sales ability, and it's gonna be your volume. Now, let me kind of go over those things a little bit more in depth. So data, first of all, if you have bad data, you're going to get bad results. Like, point blank, bad data means bad results. And when I say data, I'm talking about like the phone numbers, really. Like, that's probably the most important thing. The phone numbers and the types of people or homeowners that you're targeting. So for example, if you're targeting people who literally just bought their home, you're gonna get horrible results, because why would you call someone who literally just bought a house and the next month you're trying to call and try to buy their house from them? They're most likely not gonna wanna sell to you. So data matters a lot. And also the phone numbers that you pull for these homeowners, they matter a lot too, because if all the numbers that you call are bad numbers, like, you're not gonna get a deal fast. So that's what I mean by data in that kind of sense. It's like the type of people or homeowners you're pulling and their phone numbers or their contact information. So get good data. Me personally, this is not an ad or anything. I have used PropStream and it's worked pretty well as far as pulling people's numbers and pulling data. Like, it's been pretty good for me. There's other things out there like batch leads, and I don't know, there's other stuff. But I've used PropStream. Now, the second thing when it comes to getting deals from cold calling, it's gonna be volume. This is probably where most people go wrong, is they're not calling enough. When I say enough, like, everyone has a different pace, but I think when I cold call myself for a long time, like at least 1 to 2 years, I didn't even have a dialer at the time. I literally dialed from my cell phone. It was hand dialed, and I probably got spam, like marked as spam, but I dialed from my cell phone, and I called a few hundred people every single day. As soon as I got the dialer, where I can like dial 3 numbers at a time because a lot of people don't answer, like, when I got the dialer, I literally dialed 1,000, 2,000 people every single day because it was so much faster. So that's kind of the pace that I think that you can achieve, 2,000 people every single day, depending if you have a dialer or not. And that's for like 6 hours a day. And like, honestly, most of your time should be spent, if you're brand new, on trying to find a deal. So you should be calling this much. Most people, when they're new, they spend their times on the wrong things. Like, they're spending their time on business cards, getting an office. And I'm speaking from experience. Like, this is exactly what I did. Instead of focusing on finding the deal, which is the thing that'll bring money to the business. Because most people claim to be in business when they are not actually doing business. So that's the second thing, is your actual volume. Now, the third thing when it comes to cold calling, to make it successful, is your sales ability. Now, I don't want you to worry too much about this at the beginning, because you're gonna get better over time with practice as you're talking to all these sellers. But if you were horrible at sales, it'll take a while for you to get a deal. The reason is, it's a very like people kind of business. You have to be able to interact with people, you have to be able to listen to them, and you have to be able to offer solutions to them to help solve their problems. Like, you have to be a problem solver, a thinker, and you have to be able to empathize with people. But as you talk to more and more people, like, if you are taking care of your volume and your data is at least decent, where you can talk to enough people who are motivated to sell, you're just gonna naturally get better at the sales. If you wanna get better at sales faster. There are sales courses out there. Like I think I took Steve Trang's Sales Disruptors course and coaching. Like that was very helpful for me. Again, it's not an ad, but it was helpful. But really, if you want to get really good, you just get the reps in. Like make all the cold calls, call the 1,000 people a day, and be consistent with it. Like where most people go wrong with cold calling is they're not consistent. You know, they cold call hard for a week and they're like, okay, like now I gotta take a break. Let's not cold call for next week. And then the next week they go hard again. It's like, no, like if you want to achieve consistent results and consistent income, you probably should have consistent sales, consistent marketing. Meaning, if you're gonna be cold calling, consistent cold calls. It's as simple as that. It's a big numbers game. It's good data, good sales ability, and good volume. That's how you get the deal with cold calling. Now, if you want to start, now that I've kind of explained what cold calling is and the important components of it, if you want to start cold calling, all you really need is a phone. Like that's all you really need. Because how are you going to call people? The next thing that you also can use, it's not necessary, but it's essentially like a skip tracing service, or some type of data provider where it has a lot of homeowner information that you can pull. Now, you can either use a service or a website like propstream.com, which is something that I use to pull this data. And as I'm like, for example, on propstream.com, or a bunch of other websites out there, you can pull like a list of homeowners for specific criteria. So maybe I'm targeting people with a lot of equity in their houses, which I recommend if you're starting out or just in general. You can target like tax delinquent people. You can target like a bunch of different things, honestly, with these different services. And you can compile a list, and all these lists that you compile, you can what's called skip trace these people to find the homeowner's phone numbers, and those are the numbers that you call. These are like paid services, like PropStream, you have to pay for this thing. But there's also free ways to do it too. Like you can just ask your title company, a title company that you know, if they can just give you a list of homeowners, whatever criteria that you have, see what they can do. And they can provide you lists for free. And from there, you can find a way to find the phone numbers for the homeowners, and you can do that a free way or a paid way. Now, the paid way is to use something like PropStream or Batch or whatever there is out there to skip trace these homeowners to find their phone numbers and start calling them. Or you can do it free way, which will take a lot longer because you're gonna have to individually input every single address that you have, with something called like truepeoplesearch.com. There's a website out there that you can skip trace for free. The data's not that good, to be honest. I'll be honest with you. Like a lot of the numbers are bad that they pull for the phone numbers, but it does work. Like I do get I remember when I used it, I got in contact with a lot of homeowners. So like maybe like, for example, if I had a list of 1,000 homeowners addresses, and I was like, okay, like I need to find their phone numbers, you could, like if you wanted to use the free option of True People Search, you literally have to get every single address, type every single address in or copy and paste it into True People Search to get the possible phone numbers, and you have to organize the list of phone numbers. Whereas if you had like a paid service like PropStream or something like that, you could literally input the 1,000 person list and then it just spits out in like an organized Excel sheet all their phone numbers for every single record. So that way you have the phone numbers, you have the addresses, the homeowner names, and you can just start calling right away. Now, when I was starting, I definitely used the free option, True People Search. It worked really well because I was trying to have targeted list. But over time, I just got like, my time became a little bit more valuable, and I was like, okay, like I'm not gonna be entering this stuff into True People Search because the data wasn't even that good. But yeah, once you have a data source of homeowners who might be interested in selling, you just have to cold call them a lot. Now, what list to target? I always recommend starting with high equity. What I mean by high equity is people with at least 50% equity. You can do more, like 60%, 70%. But the reason why you want high equity is you want to find people who would actually be motivated to sell their house. And because you're an investor like me, you're probably offering really low. Like, you're probably offering 60% of what the home is worth. 60%, 70%, 50%. And here's why you want high equity in a nutshell. If someone has 10% equity in their home, meaning they actually own only 10% of their home, the bank or their lender only owns the other 90%, and you're offering them 60% of the value, like if they accept your offer, they're going to lose money. So no one's really going to want to accept that offer. Whereas if they had a lot of equity and you made a low offer, they still could break even or at least still profit when they make the offer. So they're a lot more enticed to accept your offer. And that's really why you want to target high equity. And then you can like also overlap some criteria. So you might do high equity. You might want 2-story houses with people who have owned the home for at least 35 years because you're targeting old people in a 2-story home. So they might be tired of living there. You might be targeting tax delinquent people, meaning these are people who are about to lose their houses because they haven't paid their property taxes. You can target foreclosures. People are about to lose their houses because they can't pay the mortgage. Like you can target a bunch of people, but those are just a couple to start with. Start with high equity. And the other thing that you can get right away would be a dialer. If you're not familiar, it's basically a service or like something on the internet website where you can dial a lot more people than if you're just like dialing on a cell phone. Like when I was just getting started, when I was cold calling, I would dial every individual number on a cell phone, on my cell phone, and I'd call them, no answer, dial the next number, call, and that was very tedious. With dialers, you can get like massive list, input the whole list into the dialer, so all the numbers are already typed out, and all you have to do is click, and it dials. If they don't answer, click, goes to the next one, click, and goes to the next person. And so a lot of dialers out there have like where you can dial more than one number at a time because most of these numbers don't answer. Most of the people don't answer. So if you're dialing 3 at a time, one of the 3 answer, cool, you just knocked out 3 numbers in an instant instead of 1 at a time. So those are the benefits of dialers, and it can literally like triple, quadruple your speed of dialing and cold calling. They do cost money. Usually they're like monthly subscriptions, but they help a lot. And it's kind of up to you to decide what's worth it to you and how confident you are in your new business venture. But those are the things that I think you will need in order to be successful cold calling. I hope that helped. And if you just want help in general to grow your real estate investing business, I want you to click on the link in the description below for a free strategy session. But otherwise, peace.